Right, the hopelessly flawed thinking behind Te Pati Māori's push to pay national superannuation or the pension to Māori up to 10 years earlier or before other New Zealanders can get it. This is why race-based funding doesn't work. But Labour's response initially was dreadful, leaving the door open to it. So we'll look at this. Honestly, these guys and the continued incompetency of the left are Luxon's best assets right now, don't you think? And Skinny has launched their new AI ambassador. It's a world first and could change advertisements around the world. How does it work? And who or what is this new ambassador? So let's go.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you company. You're with the Editor-in-Chief. I'm Duncan Garner. Good evening. Thank you for joining us, and please subscribe as well. We are at over 20,000 subscribers now, so I will do 50 press-ups. Two, because we've got that target. If we reach the target, I'll do the 50 press-ups at the end of the podcast. So hang around. Oh, can I do 2 25s, Isaac? Yeah, I can do 2 25s?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Oh, you allow it. Hey, you can join me if you want.
No, it's fine.
Okay, well, I'll kill myself. Can I do these 50 press-ups for reaching the 20,000 subscribers? You will find that out very shortly. But remember, I've had one arm out as well, so, maybe I'll just do them on one arm. I don't know. Right, I suppose the best thing we can say about Te Pati Māori's idea around national superannuation is at least they're thinking about policy and how it affects Māori rather than talking about themselves and acting up on TikTok. But seriously, paying New Zealand super to all Māori up to 10 years before everyone else, it opens up a huge divide, and you can drive a bus through this argument. Race-based funding doesn't work, folks, and I'll tell you why shortly. So let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Oh, I'll tell you now. So Rawiri Waititi wants Māori to receive the state-funded pension at 57, age 57. It's bonkers because all the evidence around the world shows that we're all living much longer lives thanks to remarkable medical research and interventions and the fact that we know that healthy living actually leads to longer lives. Nowhere in the world is the age of eligibility for state pensions coming down. Indeed, most countries are putting pressure on themselves to increase the age of eligibility. Only the Māori Party, or Te Pati Māori, is turning this into an issue of separatism and race around the funding of it and having it earlier. Honestly, Māori life expectancy is around 7 years shorter than the life expectancy of other Kiwis, and that's his basis for this brain fart. And sure, that 7 years is stark, but it's also been closing rapidly, and maybe he'd be best to try and work on policies that extend Māori lives further and get the age of life expectancy as close as he can to everyone else. Now, that would be a positive thing to do, but he's left to moan, and he has gone for the sort of overly simplistic headline that we should pay every single Māori, no matter what their circumstances, earlier than everyone else, upon turning 57, a full pension. What about those Māori who are really healthy and who live long lives? My son's great-grandmother lived to 95. Under this scenario, she would have been on the pension more than about half her life. What about Māori scholars and business people and pen pushers and office workers? Do we include them? Not all Māori are on the end of a hammer or a stop sign or stop-go sign 24/7. Te Pati Māori are locked in a struggle with themselves, and they want you to think that all Māori are downtrodden, down and out, suffering, uneducated and deserve welfare for life. But that's not the case. In fact, increasingly, the stats show, and I've looked at this, the stats show increasingly Māori are getting educated to a higher level and getting degrees and professional jobs now more than they have ever had before. Now, should we still pay them or those people national super at 57? They're getting law degrees, commerce degrees. And if we pay Māori here at 57, then do we pay the 160,000 Māori across the ditch? Well, we'd have to pay them as well, wouldn't we? Because they're Kiwis. Even though they're living in Australia, we pay them early too. Oh, this would cause real problems. This is the very meaning of apartheid. Two systems, two people, two different standards of citizenship. And this would really, really drive it home. There would be genuinely two standards of citizenship and two standards of payments. God, it's a disaster. Maybe we identify manual workers and pay them earlier. No breakdown on race, but just manual workers. It's so problematic and so worrying. And the Greens, as you can imagine, have clambered on board and said, we like this, toot toot, we're on board. Of course they're on board. They haven't yet met a Te Pati Māori idea that they don't like. And I think when it comes to Te Pati Māori, the Greens' answer is yes. Doesn't matter what the question is, but yes. Okay? That means Winston, if you take this right to its nth degree and say, yeah, let's call it policy at 57, Winston would have been on New Zealand Super for the past 23 years on that basis. Willie Jackson would have picked it up 6 years ago. He would no longer have to wait another year or two for National Super. He would have been on it for 6 years. Not only would we have paid Willie Jackson $300K to be a minister, but we would have chucked him another $20K for the last 6 years, each year, to be on the pension. There's an argument not for it. Despite living a perfectly normal, healthy life like his Pākehā mates, Willie Jackson would have been on super for the last 6 years. Paula Bennett's age 56. Now, she's Māori. She'd get the pension next year. The argument's ludicrous. There's such a big hole in it that you drive more than one bus through it. Māori Party boss John Tamahiti would have been on the pension for the past 9 years under the Waititi plan. So on a building site, let's say I'm going on a building site today. 5 Pākehā builders, 5 Māori builders. The Māori builders stop working at age 57. They put their tools down, they walk off the site at age 57. But I carry on saving my guts out for the next 8 years before I reach 65, and then I get the pension. It doesn't work, does it? I have a prime example where Pākehā die early and get no pension. White people die early through stress and hard yakka and the like. My dad was 62, never got a cent for a state pension. He didn't live long enough. It's bad luck, isn't it? This idea does not fly, not now, not then, not back in the day, not in the future. If Waititi really cared for his people, he'd be pushing things that extended life expectancy, and the gap is closing on that front. It actually is good news. If we want to pay people earlier, it should come down to other criteria. Should manual workers be paid earlier? Well, it's probably a better argument than on race, but it still causes all sorts of problems. I mean, what's a manual worker? We could be retiring fit and healthy and very well-meaning Māori at age 57 for no other reason than Waititi is a deluded racist who thinks Māori are owed a living. God, let's pay women later than men. Here's a good idea. Let's pay women later than men, or men earlier than women, because on life expectancy results, women live longer in New Zealand, so 4 years longer. For decades, women have lived longer than men in New Zealand. So on that basis, should all New Zealand men get paid the pension 4 years earlier? And let's hold the pension back from women. Let's delay New Zealand women getting the pension until they're age 69. How's that one going to fly? You know, this is a problem, isn't it? You can pick any start. You can pick any sort of reason and make any argument one way or the other. For instance, Waititi says Māori do hard work. They work hard labour. They die early as a result. That's why we should retire them early. It's a nonsense because while 18% of Māori are deemed to be working in manual jobs or maybe labourers' roles, 11% of Pākehā are thought to be doing the same sort of work. And given the population for Māori in New Zealand is smaller than the non-Māori population, which is much, much bigger, there are more non-Māori doing manual labouring jobs in sheer numbers than there are Māori doing them. So that throws his argument out too, doesn't it? So on that basis, should all Pākehā manual workers or labourers retire early alongside their Māori mates? This doesn't add up, does it? And what about those many Māori who work in offices? Should they be excluded because that's not physical or demanding work? Do they live longer? We don't know. We can't say. In fact, New Zealand's become a really complex country in which to label groups of people at all. Because the thing is, so many of us weren't born here, we arrived here. And with that, New Zealand has become, and this is interesting, I just learned this today, New Zealand has become one of the small number of culturally and linguistically super diverse countries. Not just diverse, but super diverse. New Zealand is the 5th most ethnically diverse country in the OECD. New Zealand has one of the highest immigration rates in the world. One in every 4 residents in New Zealand was born overseas. 25% of New Zealand wasn't born here. Auckland's now the most diverse city in the world. 2 in 5 of its residents born overseas. New Zealand has 213 ethnicities and 160 languages that are spoken here. Paying everyone who retires at a certain age is the fairest way. Whether that be 65 or 67, whatever, it's got to be universal. And it's got to go up at some stage, that age. But certainly not down or backwards. This shows how out of touch and cornered Te Pati Māori really is. They hadn't thought this through. But how's this? Does it get any more incompetent and worse than it already is? Because Labour reacted by saying, not much actually. They were tight-lipped at the beginning of this. They didn't say much at all. No, Labour. Your silence or your inability to poo-poo this is a problem. You've got to say it's mindless race-based funding. There's no place in health funding in New Zealand or under a future Labour government. Day 2 today, and Labour finally got there and ruled it out. But along the way, they showed us how confused and lacking in all sort of leadership they really are around these financial matters. And if you put Te Pati Māori and the Greens and Labour all in one room, what do you get? Bankruptcy and civil war probably, and a mass exodus to Australia. Honestly, Labour should have found it easy to get rid of this idea, but they entertained it for at least 24 hours. Once again, Luxon's left there sort of, gawking into the wilderness, not having to do much to make his opponents look hopeless. They're doing it to themselves. Māori life expectancy is shorter than other New Zealanders, and we need to work on that, always. But paying them to retire before other New Zealanders won't address that at all. In fact, it's soft bigotry. It's also not very ambitious. Long lives matter, so let's work on that. And let's not accept this soft bigotry and these low expectations and constant handouts expected by Te Pati Māori.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Now, I'm Christchurch producer, Isaac, before you rush off to your Easter eggs. In fact, I must get some. It is a weird thing, isn't it? It's a sort of out of left field stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is a bit strange. Yeah, I think you put it quite nicely in there. If that's the case, should we pay or should we withhold the pension from women for an extra 4 years because of their life expectancy? It just seems a bit weird. It also kind of feels like he isn't it almost feels like he's not giving Māori enough credit. You know what I mean?
Exactly for living full lives, living long lives.
Yeah. It's have a little bit of faith in your community to an extent. Like obviously there is scientific evidence to back up that they live for less reasons, but you can trace that back through
all sorts of reasons.
A wide range of socio-economic reasons that you could talk about for hours. And so the idea of trying to solve that by just helping them to by retiring them earlier, it just seems weird.
It's too simplistic and it doesn't stack up. You did right.
Yeah.
I wonder. He hadn't really thought about it, had he? He just sort of threw something out there and waited for the pulled the pin on one of those bombs and said, "What's going to happen here, idiots?"
Yeah.
Labour fell for it. For 24 hours, Labour thought, this might be okay. Let's remain tight-lipped before the budget, before we announce anything. Labour, you're in opposition. This is when you say no. This is racist bullshit. It's not hard to say that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like, kind of that the whole life expectancy thing arguably stems from something that would happen in their lives when they're young adults, teenagers, compared to ones that are at retirement age. You know what I mean?
Maybe colonisation's been good for Māori. Because if we're not going to get shit for saying that women should retire, we'll pay them later because they live longer. So we'll say maybe colonisation has been really good for Māori. I mean, they'll probably want to punch me in the face for that. But how long would they live if colonisation wasn't here?
Yeah, that's another question.
This is going to get me a scrap if I go north. Getting a scrap if I go north this weekend. Okay, how far can AI, artificial intelligence, go, and how can it help businesses and corporates with the next marketing campaign? Skinny, the guys, has used AI, and one of its customers, it's really creative this, in one of its latest round of advertisements, showcasing what sort of campaign can be done, not just on the cheap, but by using one of its own customers as the Skinny ambassador. I think this is very good. I think it's very smart. That's a world first, and it could change advertising advertisements around the world. How does it work? And who or what is this new ambassador? So let's talk about this with Skinny's Marketing and Data Director, Matt Bain. G'day, Matt. Nice to see you.
Good to be here.
So where did this idea come from?
So Skinny's got a rich history of using its own customers. Skinny doesn't want to spend money if it doesn't have to, right? It's all about low prices for our customers.
It's like MediaWorks.
Yeah, a little bit like that. So we've got a history of going, well, why don't we use our own customers because they love us?
Yes.
And, we've done things like famous names and you've seen some of that stuff. So then we thought...
I think it's cutting edge. I think it's really cutting edge.
But we also AI's cool, so we want to do something with that. So then we went, well, let's pull that together. So what if we took in a customer, an actual customer, and then used AI to do something cool? And we thought, well, we could clone them.
Clone them.
Yeah.
So you ask people to apply. You get a huge response.
If you're a really happy customer of Skinny's, we want to hear from you.
Yeah. And you got lots of happy customers.
We had hundreds of them apply. And if you win, you get free Skinny for life, which is a good thing. And you also get digitally cloned. Yes. And we use you in our advertising.
And so suddenly you become famous overnight, like you're everywhere.
Just like that, yeah. How do you
digitally clone? How does it work? So you pick Liz?
Well, so first of all, Liz. So if you, for no other reason, watch this for Liz. She's awesome, right? Yeah. So she lives on a farm up in the Bay of Islands. Yeah. And she put her hand up and said, I'd like to be cloned. Her son actually is into AI, so she knew a little bit about it. And also, she used to work for Spark a long time ago, so she also knew the business. So happy Skinny customer for 10 years. So yeah, we saw her and we went, she's the one.
So you saw it straight away, did you?
Yeah, we was like, yeah, she's the one. Yeah.
And so how did it work from there?
So then we said, are you really sure about this, Liz? And she said, yeah. And so then we got her into work with our creative teams, and we had to, there's no one model that you just scan her and it's done. You got to train a voice model. Then you got to take her likeness and 3D scan her. Then you got to get her mannerisms and her
But it is remarkable what you can do, eh?
You can't tell the difference now. Liz can't tell the difference between her and her clone. It's it's incredible.
Wow. And so AI, I mean, you guys are some of the first guys to be doing this, right?
Yep.
So it is cutting edge. What's possible? Do you revert to type, or do you stay with this sort of approach?
So this is new, but we've been doing at Spark, which is Skinny's part of Spark. We've been doing AI for 5-6 years. So we've spent a lot of time going, how do you do this safely? So we had the confidence to go, we can do this, we can do it well.
What were the risks? What did you think?
So the risks are really the same as with any customer data.
Yes.
You need to make sure that what you're doing is is safe, doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yes.
So it was really about that. And then it was also...
But you managed that stuff from the start.
Yeah, we're good at that, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing was just making sure that, as we set it up with Liz at the beginning, we wanted the freedom to be able to like quite quickly do ads without her because we've got a clone.
Yes.
So then agreeing with her, like what's the guidelines, what's right and what's not, and how do we work.
The flexibility the flexibility it gives you to not wait for someone to be on site, to fly someone down, so we do all that sort of stuff.
So Skinny's all about, like I keep banging on about, low prices.
Yeah.
So we can't be spending huge amounts of money creating ads. So that means we can't create many. Right.
So the image I have of Skinny though is flexible, fast, smart.
Get
it done.
Yeah, and like quite fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so doing it this way, we go right. We've done a deal with Liz. Now we can actually spin up ads with Liz in it quickly and cheaply and do more of them. We wouldn't have been able to do that before.
So because you could make this season 1, 2, 3, 4. You could go because you have the clone.
Yep.
You have the image.
Yep.
With her approval, you're away, right?
She can be anywhere. She can be surfing barrels in Hawaii, flying to the moon. You'll see in the ad she turns into a rocket and shoots up into the air and explodes. So really flexible, and the creatives love it, right? Because now if you can imagine it, you can do it.
Yeah. So most people do imagine something.
Yeah.
I mean, most people have something in their brain, and so the AI. Where does this lead us to? Like where does this go now? I mean, are we ever going to see a return to what we used to do, or is this going to be the sort of benchmark?
It's kind of still what we used to do, but it's different. So you know how you write a script and you polish everything up front, and then you go and if you're in advertising, you go and make it.
Takes time and money and people.
When you're prompting, like sometimes, like I remember the guys were prompting, and she was a newsreader, and she looked down, and as she looked down, the paper appeared in her hand, and that wasn't an idea, but that's pretty cool. Like, would we keep that in or not? So the creative process is interesting in that the AI comes up with things you might not have thought of that you can either keep or cut. Yeah.
No, but the thing about this is the fascinating thing for me is that people in their living rooms and looking at this, they can't tell.
So this is interesting because we had to make sure they could.
Yeah.
Because what we weren't trying to do is fool people.
Yes.
And I actually think there's something really interesting here, which is by going, look, this is AI and this is what it does. We're creating awareness of what it can do, and hopefully getting people to realise this is how good AI cloning is. So be aware of that.
But you're saying but also by saying that you're saying this is real and it's safe.
Yeah,
it's okay to like this.
Yeah,
it's okay to follow this. This is not it's not a fraud.
Yeah, it's like anything. There's some dangerous elements, but don't be scared of all of it. There's some really good stuff here in AI, and we need to be leaning into New Zealand could really do with a productivity lift, right? So actually for New Zealand as a country,
that's a good point.
Understanding how this helps us is as important as understanding the risks.
So is it a cheaper is it cheaper in terms of monetary, in terms of what you spend on it?
Yep.
Is it much cheaper than an ordinary campaign?
To start with getting the clone and everything, I wouldn't say it's much cheaper. Once you've got it, now you can be really flexible and cheap. You can actually have an idea today and have it live tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the idea that you can actually be very responsive.
Yeah.
And the creative quality is still there.
So do you know the people behind the AI? Do you just deal with the AI, or do you deal with the people behind it?
We do both. So we actually worked with technology people and creative people together to go, how do we take the creative idea and the AI technology and stitch that together in a way that looks and feels the way it needs to.
And so how's it changed Liz's life? Like, what does she
She's
tell
pretty
you?
famous.
Yeah.
She's pretty famous in New
Can't
Zealand.
walk down the street?
I think she's pretty famous up in the Bay of Islands area.
Yeah.
We've had an overwhelmingly positive response to this. You know, you're always a little bit like, it's pushing the boundaries. You expect, haters going to hate kind of thing.
Yeah. But have you had much hate?
No, we haven't. And this is what's been really good. I think we've done it right. We've been really explicit. This is AI.
Yes. But AI's everywhere.
You expect it from Skinny, right? You expect Skinny to do something fun and new and use its customers. So I think because it was an extension of what we were doing, there was enough that wasn't new that people accepted it.
But I think also what's crucial is that you took people with you. So if you take an audience with you, if it's not a shock 6 months later when there's a big headline that says, wow, Skinny used AI, I didn't tell you. It wasn't like that at all. It was you're using it, and that's part of the ad.
The reason we're using it is because we're cheap.
Yeah.
And that's why we're using it, right? Yeah. That's the reason.
But everybody, but this is where all companies are going and have gone and are going to go, because it opens up, as you say, productivity.
Yeah.
Use of a shortage of funds means you can
be more creative, right?
Yeah.
So now the creative ideas you couldn't have even tested because it would have cost too much.
Yeah.
You can have a go at, and I think it's people are already worried about like what's the downsides. But if we lean in and go, how creative can we be now? We've got this.
So with downsides, well, I mean, like, what are they? Like, what could possibly be a downside of if you're upfront about it? What's the downside? That it's not like Jurassic Park where she's going to run out of control and take our lives.
Yeah. Everything has a downside. I'm an optimist, right? So I go, if we really lean into this and we're responsible with it, we can have a lot of fun. We can do higher quality work and more of it.
Well, people are going to expect it also from the brand, because that's what the brand is, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of the future for Liz, is she going to be cloned again and again and again? I mean, is it possible do you need to clone her again, or can you use what you've got?
No, we only need to clone her once.
Wow.
Right? And so now we can use the clone probably for the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
We'll always be moving on to new things, but Liz is with us for now, so we're working with Liz.
Is there a wider application for it within the company? For other things?
We haven't looked at that at the moment. There's wider applications of AI everywhere, but we're quite focused on this. So traditional advertising, places like social, where you need to quickly spin up a response.
And you can do all that. So
all that stuff we can do.
It's just
or we could
life-changing,
just use her voice for something. I mean, she could be Santa at Christmas, and you could call up and talk to her, or so we can do interesting things from a marketing perspective.
And so, what's been the feedback from the public? What's the public told you?
People have been loving it. Yeah, like I say, you always brace and go, what are people going to latch on to? But people have seen the fun in it. They've appreciated the honesty and the response to when you do a campaign like this. Obviously, you're doing it to attract more people to the Skinny brand.
And have you
100%. So
seen actual results?
You don't. So it takes a little while before the tills start ringing.
Yeah.
But what we have seen is just the leading metric is engagement.
Yes.
So the amount of engagement has been higher than anything we've done to date around this. So,
but people want, it used to be, I think, in certainly in advertising space, New Zealand was. I'm going back 20 years. We were quite world leading. We took risks.
Yep.
We stuck our necks out. We did all sorts of things that people go, turn away from.
Yeah.
But in the last few years, it's been very mild. It hasn't been confronting. We've sort of stepped back because society doesn't like to be shocked too much. But this is a new way of getting people's attention, I reckon.
It is, and I think we're in a pretty tough time for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
In those times, there's not a lot of money flying around for creatives to do creative things. And so the ability to democratise what it used to take huge budgets to do,
massive.
To now going, actually, you don't need to be a huge brand anymore. Now you can do some quite fun stuff,
And so does Skinny plan to do more of this sort of thing? Because now you're under pressure to next season. What's the next one
now
like?
we've only just got started with Liz, right? So
you can't ditch Liz.
Liz is just on the scene now. So we've got some exciting plans going forward for Liz. So keep your eyes open for where she shows up and how she shows up.
Yeah. And is that her over there or not?
Yeah. Well, it won't be in the future. It'll just be her clone. But we had her and her clone in the initial one just to.
With when people got hold of you and gave you feedback, was there anything in there that where they said, "Oh, this is not real, mate"? That they questioned it?
No, because we told them up front, this is not real, mate.
Yeah.
Like emphatically, we said this is not real because if it was real, it would cost us heaps of money to do all the time.
Yeah.
So this is totally AI, and it looks fantastical because we purposely went. Let's make sure people understand this isn't real.
Other brands are going to come in and try and they will do this too. Yeah. They'll see the success of it. They'll hear this. They've seen it as well. It's pretty visible.
Imitation is flattery, right? So we'll take that.
Yeah. But do you in any way have to ink it? Can you own it? You can't really, can you?
No, but and we don't want to. We want this to be a fun way for New Zealanders to see that AI can be, something that can actually help the creative process.
Yeah.
And so we encourage other brands to do it too. We think it's cool.
And with Liz, does she have anything to do with you guys now? What's the relationship like? She sees herself everywhere she looks.
We love Liz. We've got a good relationship with her, right? So we stay in touch. Yeah. And even though we don't need her to come in the studio and record things anymore, we still got a relationship with Liz, and she's a friend of the brand. So
asking your own people to be part of the brand's exposure is even without using AI, but asking the people, even that's sort of, I think that's edgy.
Yeah.
And that's worked, eh?
Yeah, and Skinny's always done that, and that's why it's been part of its success.
Cheap.
Yeah. And it's cheap.
Getting your own people. Yeah, but hey, having Skinny for life.
Yeah, so Liz already was a loyal Skinny customer, so Skinny for life, she's probably earned it anyway, having been with us for 10 years.
Yeah. Good to catch up.
Yeah.
Well done, and good luck with your future success.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, so let us to the editor. Now, there's an interesting one in here. Do you want to take this one away?
Yep, I can do that. This one coming through from an anonymous source. But it says, "G'day, Duncan. I am sending you this email in hopes that my personal experience and knowledge can shed a little more light on the toxic workforce behind the supermarket operations." And so this is obviously leading back to a conversation about, this is a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it?
About supermarkets. Yep.
Yeah. Up until recently, I was close friends with someone that worked for a company by the name of Twin Agencies. This company is a main supplier / middleman for supermarkets and stores under the foodstuffs umbrella. This friend told me many horror stories about the culture and some of the sleazy tactics they use, such as sending good-looking women to stores owned by men and encouraging seductive clothing to help push unnecessary sales of products and befriending customers to help rip them off. Wow. The South Island area manager of this company, based in Christchurch during the COVID lockdown, paid a meth addict to use his name to falsely claim his COVID vaccines, and then he went and visited many stores around Canterbury after the fact.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Well, we love people writing to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's possible, but I mean, I'm not going to argue right now. Yeah. I know that multiple people working under him are aware of it, and they are very disgruntled, but don't know how to act on it. This friend also told me about the sexual misconduct that runs rife through their industry, such as staff having affairs and cheating on their partners during work trips and in their head office. These people all drive brand new vehicles with unlimited fuel, spending and making very good bonuses based on their performances, which I feel is only earned by using said sleazy tactics and unethical work practices. I would like to have this email aired and give my full permission to do so, but ask that my name be kept confidential.
Okay, a few issues here. I don't think it's just the supermarkets where staff, amongst the thousands of people who work there, that in fact adultery is happens. I think there are all sorts of industries where, and I mean, I think life shows that people aren't always faithful, which can be an issue. But I think it's a tough one. The COVID stuff. I wonder if this person is. Well, they seem to have some pretty good detail. I mean, they sound like they're maybe a little bit bitter and twisted, and maybe something's happened there. I don't know, but it's good information.
Yeah,
if it's true.
I don't really know how that's possible. I feel like this is a long time ago now, but I feel like I had to show my driver's license ID when I got my vaccine, but that might not be true. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you had to show. You did have to show an ID. You did. I think a passport.
Yeah.
But and as for what hot women selling you pineapple lumps or something in the shops. I did always notice many days you go into supermarkets and there'd be someone cooking something in the corner and you could go up and taste it. It was never enough to taste. You just wanted more, especially after rugby when you got hungry and stuff. But I don't necessarily recall them being really hot.
No, and again, I wouldn't say you'd also limit that tactics to just supermarkets. You know what I mean? As much as people probably deny that tactic and blah blah blah, but
radio stations,
radio stations, just part of the I don't know. I've obviously been learning media the last couple of years, and it's like part of being a public face. You need to be marketable. You know what I mean? And so the likelihood of them picking someone more attractive than you is actually a genuine possibility. So it's obviously not something that's just done by supermarkets, but whether it's the right thing to do is also another issue.
Well,
so
what companies? What companies going to hire really ugly people to go and advertise their products?
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
maybe as the before photo option. Who knows?
Coca-Cola, beach volleyball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to put this really horrible looking thing there. It's 25 stone, and you go, look, I need to sell these. No. Okay, yeah, I get it. I think this is part of society. That is us. I'll do the 50. I'll attempt to do the 50 press ups at the end of this intro. At the end of this outro. Okay, so I'll say goodbye. Knock off the 50. I think Lockie's going to come in and film it for. I don't know, to embarrass me or something like that. And Lockie will mouth off and say, they're not full ones, or they're only half ones, or he'll never go at me or something like that. But I've come to expect that from Lockie. So thank you for your feedback and support. And get in touch with our social media at Duncan Garner Podcast on TikTok, Instagram. Flick us an email, duncan@rover.nz. Visit me in hospital after this 50, whatever. Do whatever. To my team, thank you guys. We'll do it again after Easter, Tuesday. And remember, life's no dress rehearsal, no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. On a Whack Out 50. Thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for subscribing. We've now got more than 20,000, which is really great in such a short space of time. And for that, I said that I'd do 50 press-ups, and I'm an idiot, so I'm about to go and do it. Get out, enjoy the rest of the day, and enjoy the days ahead. Thanks, folks. Oh, what do I do this to myself?
All right, here he goes. Producer Lachlan in there as well to get him us the second angle.
Okay. 50 full ones, Duncan, come on.
Oh, you see, he's already mentioned it.
1, 2. Ten.
Looks thrilling.
It's good form. I can't be critical so far.
20. 2. 4. 5. 6. It's 30.
So far, so good.
Almost
You're doing
there.
well.
Yeah, I did 25 last time, so that's 30. And I've been going to the gym, so that means I'm stronger than last time. I'm adding another 20. Okay.
This is the content you subscribe for, guys. This is great. And again, fantastic content for our audio listeners.
Seven more. Nearly there. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's easy. Try and do 50. That's 50. I'm signing out. I feel rooted.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.